hassle is it to get your kids enrolled and registered in a school in La Mata, Torrevieja, or probably generally through Spain? But what we're going to do is cover here. First thing you're going to need is to get your what do you call it, your bank account open. Not because you need it for the school, but you'll actually need it for some other bits and pieces, like proving your address in some cases. But even then, you can open a non-resident account, which basically means you can get money transferred in from the UK, etc. But also, personally, I'd say bring the money and put it in manually. It's cheaper and a better exchange rate. But you will need it for rents, or even if you own your own home, because all your electric, your gas, your internet, everything goes through the bank, which gives you utility bills, which is something you may need elsewhere. But if you've got an address in the UK, you can use that to get your bank account open, get your bank account going. And then next thing is you need to get your NIE, which is basically your tax number. It's you get that from the foreigners office. Well, I've actually got mine at the minute, but it's also where you get your residencia. So you're either going to go non-resident or resident. Either way, you will need to get your NIE, which is available at the tax office. Getting it is pretty straightforward. They want your passport and a load of other bits and pieces. I've covered it in another video before. So get your NIE. Then once you have your NIE, sorry, I've got a car pulling out in front of me. Once you've got your NIE, got your Padron, I think you need your social security number as well, which I've covered before as well. That's another building, another place, but only takes about 20 minutes. Just be very polite in there and they'll do most of the work for you. Just like speak a little bit of Spanish. The main things I recommend learning in Spanish, well, I do recommend anybody learning Spanish, but the main things you want to learn in day one is apologies, because if you apologize that you don't speak much Spanish and say it in Spanish, the locals do generally appreciate it, because at least you've tried, and also they can hear how bad your Spanish is, so they don't feel so uncomfortable speaking English to you. But don't expect everybody to speak English to you. That's an important thing. A lot of these people do not like speaking English, even if they do. I think they get tired of people not speaking Spanish. I think that's the easiest way to sum it up. Okay, so you got your NIE, you've got your your Padron. Padron's where we're going this morning. Now, to get the Padron, you've got to come into Torrevieja town. Parking's always abysmal, and where you get it from, best thing to do if you've got a map or whatever is look for the main church, because the church itself is behind it, because the streets are pretty narrow. It's not an easy place to find, but once you get there, you got to go in. It's got the old ticket number system. Grab a ticket, see what the number is. You've got about 30 people in front of you. Go and have a cup of tea and come back. That's what I normally do. So we've just got our ticket. That's the census office behind us, and I'll just show you how to find here, because obviously it's a narrow little street, sort of in the middle of other streets. April, we'll go. If you head down this way, you'll see there's some palm trees. Now, this is the only issue I really have with Spain, is paperwork. The rest of it's easy. Because the problem you have with things like the Padron is they expire every 3 months. So, say you were buying a car and you'd got your Padron for getting the kids into school, then later on you'd have to go get another one if it was 3 months old. But parking's pretty tight, because the problem you got in Torrevieja is high residency. Most places have residential properties above them, which means there's parking is always being used either by people living here or people actually shopping here. Best advice is find a church, then head uphill, because the further you head uphill, the more likely you are to find a parking space. So we've just walked straight down. Just take note of the location. Going to turn right, and the reason I'm taking you here is it's one of the biggest landmarks in Torrevieja. So here we are. This is the main church. Nice place to come and have a look at. But also, if you head further down, you get onto the port area. What I call it the port area. It's the harbour. No, it's not even a harbour, is it? Marina. It's a marina. So you want to be looking for the church, and just straight through there is the marina. So not hard to find these places, but once you get here, just go up the right hand side, and then it's sort of like zigzags across. But if you find this, you're within walking distance of the office anyway, the Census and Statistics Office. There we have the Padrons. They've changed some of the rules. There's a form that I'll photocopy and put on the website, because it's stuff you're going to have to be aware of, because there seems to be a bit of a crackdown on paperwork. And the reason I say that, a crackdown on paperwork, is it's anti-immigration stuff, but it's paperwork. It's not actually chasing people around, because what they're talking about, well, just read it in the form, and I'll put the link in the bottom. You just go to the website and you'll see it, because it will save me breaking everything down. But while you're doing the Padron, not far from there's a theatre. The theatre has the what do you call it? The office for the school documents nearby. You just go in there and ask them for the form for registration, and they'll do that for you. I think I'm going to have to put all these on the website with a little Google map, because they're all over Torrevieja. They're not in the same area. Now we're off to the salute, which is the next bit in our how do you get your kids into school, because you need to have either private healthcare or registered with the clinic. Once you have your new Padron, your passports, your EHIC card, filled in another form. What else do we need for the... I think you need a social security form as well. and then you can go and get your SIP cards. Once you have your SIP cards, you won't need private health insurance. So though it's a long day, it will actually save you about €30 a month per person. So we're at the Salud, which is the clinic, and we've got our Padron. Got to bear in mind, they already have all our other documents. I've already got existing SIP cards, for example. So I'm basically just going in to renew them, but the one thing they do always ask for, have you got an up-to-date Padron? Because I think it's to do with the funding, because obviously if you're on the local census for La Mata, they must get extra money from the government. So we'll go and do this, and this is another, like I said, it's another step you need to do. Your social security number thing, I'll do the map when I get home, because I'm going to have to put a few locations on there to make life easier for everybody. So that's the SIP card's done. My SIP card's only valid for 6 months, so be aware of that. What did you need? Well, for renewal, they want the Padron, your passport, your EHIC card, and that's pretty much it. Takes about 20 minutes because I've got to get on the computer. Well, saying that, no. I added April today. April didn't have a SIP card before. Probably would have took 5 minutes, but April was new on the system, so a bit of photocopying and stuff. But that's the SIP card done.
Now, the other thing I want to say here, when you're enrolling the kids at the school, they will also need a medical, because they'll check the kid's height, just a general medical, which the Salud will carry out, but obviously you need your SIP card to do that. The school might actually give you the forms for it, but I'm sure the Salud already has them as well. And then that's signed off by a doctor. You take that back to the school, then you go to the school with all the documents we've talked about this morning, plus the medical document, plus your SIP card. And what's the cost in Spain relating to schools? The things you have to pay for is the bus, depending where you are, and this varies. It's up to about, I think it's about €70 a month per kid if you're outside the catchment. Food varies month to month because they count it obviously per day. I found the meal costs are quite expensive, but at the same time the quality of the food in the schools is good, so it's sort of in balance. You know, if you pay nothing, you get crap quality. So from that point of view, it's yes and no. Is it worth it? Yes and no. Because the problem you have is in Spain, we pick Ubi up at 12, 12:30. Then we have to take him back at 3 o'clock and then pick him back up at 4:30. So obviously we've got a few hours every day where we've got Uber at home, which is the lunchtime at school. So you have to be aware of that. Because for us, I think next month we're going to send Ubi to school. The reason school for meals, the reason we didn't do it before, is he's very fussy on food. So he wouldn't eat it. So it all becomes a pointless exercise, and they don't do lunch boxes for meals. So it's a bit frustrating. But there's also an annual amount they will ask for, which covers things like books, textbooks. Then outings are extra. You know, if they've got something going on, they'll Ubi's got Mary Poppins this month, I think. So that was €5. There's always something going on, but to be honest, it's all small amounts. It may cost you an extra €300 a year, but for the kids, it's worth the investment. I hope this helps understanding how much hassle it is to get enrolled in the schools, but it's one of those processes that you need to do, and I hope you don't get as frustrated as some people do. One of the things I do recommend is just learning a bit of Spanish and understand that it's a system. There's no point getting argumentative with the people behind the counter. They're just doing their job. They didn't design the bureaucratic system. As such, they are not responsible for it. But they can make your life awkward and say, come back with a Spanish interpreter because I'm not talking to you. All right, thanks for watching. Yeah.